Hey, my name is Josh, and I never thought I'd be telling you this, but I can't keep quiet after what happened to me. I was a normal kid who was interested in school, friends, and his phone. Faith. I didn't think about it very often. Everything changed the day I died, though. It was real what I saw and heard. It was also very scary. Even though I was only gone for a short time, Jesus showed me things that really shocked me. Please listen to my story if you're reading it. There is not much time left. That day was just like any other. There is nothing unique or different about it. Like every morning, my mom called me to breakfast when I woke up. It hurt, so I pulled the covers over my head and looked at my phone for a few more minutes. Then I finally got out of bed. It's just another Monday. I put on my bag, got dressed, and left. It was cold in the morning, but I didn't notice it much. I had something else on my mind. Messages on the phone, plans for the weekend, and school trouble. If you had asked me what I was thinking about, I wouldn't have said God. I had nothing against faith, but I also wasn't the praying kind of person. I only went to church because my mom made me. As I walked to school, I had no idea that I would soon cross a line that most people never come back from. It was always lunch the same way. It was very loud, and people were talking over each other. My best friend told a joke that made us laugh so hard that it hurt. I don't remember much about that good moment because after lunch, things went in a direction I never saw coming. I heard someone calling my name while I was by my locker. My classmate waved me over to go for a walk outside with her. I slammed the door on my locker and ran to catch up. The sound of spinning tires could be heard from the middle of the parking lot. Just as I turned my head, I saw a huge truck coming straight at me. My friend screamed. I had no time to prepare or run. Then there was impact. I was knocked off my feet by a force I had never felt before. My body was in a lot of pain. Everything was blurred together in a mess of noise and movement as the world spun. After that, there was quiet. I thought time had stopped for a second. The sky was white and cold. People around me aren't moving, but something didn't feel right. I was no longer cold. It felt like I wasn't even on the ground. When I looked down, I saw my twisted dead body lying there. A lot of people rushed over because my friend was yelling, but I was no longer there. I was floating above it all and seeing it happen like a movie scene. After that, I knew it. I feel like something is pulling me. It wasn't soft, it was strong and wouldn't stop. I felt like I was being pulled towards something I couldn't see. I knew I was dead at that point. People don't seem to understand how quickly things can change. I laughed with my friend 1 second. The next thing I knew, I was gone. Nothing to warn you or say goodbye. It was over in an instant. I remember how it felt. The way my body felt like it had no weight for a split second before falling back down. It sounds like metal being crushed. People are yelling, tires making noise. It ended way too quickly for how long it should have lasted. After that, there was quiet. I could no longer feel my body. No pain and no air. Nothing. Nothing but quiet. When I opened my eyes, I thought I saw the ground, but I didn't. I was in the air. I had to think about what I was seeing for a moment. My whole body was still on the sidewalk. My arms were bent in a way that didn't feel right. There was blood under my head. My friend knelt next to me and screamed my name while shaking me. When I tried to touch her to let her know I was there, my hands went right through her like smoke. After that, the pull began. I felt like something had grabbed me and pulled me away from the world I knew. Even though I fought it, I couldn't stop it. There was nothing I could do to stop them from taking me. I thought I might be going to heaven at first. So that's what should happen, right? You see a bright light when you die and move toward it. But there was no light, just black. It got colder as I went farther. It felt like I was sinking into something thick, like tar or ink. There were whispers around me, but I couldn't make out anyone. I wasn't sure what they were saying, but I knew they weren't nice. After that, I heard something else. A voice that is deep, strong, and in charge. Don't go. It all got frozen. The sound of whispers, the darkness, and the pulling. Everything stopped at once. Then there was light. Not just any light. This light was living. It was like fire going through paper, cutting through the darkness. And there was a figure in the middle of it. Before he even spoke, I knew who he was. Christ. He didn't look happy either. Nothing else was important at that time. Not my body, not my life, and not anything else I had left behind. There was no question in my mind that Jesus was real when I stood in front of him. His presence was too much to handle. It wasn't just light, it was strength. It filled everything, cut right through me, and showed every thought, action, and thing I had ever done. I was stuck. I was unable to speak. When he looked at me, I felt everything. Love, sadness, not happy with it. I wanted to get down on my knees and beg him to forgive me, but I couldn't handle myself. I told him everything about myself. He then spoke. "Josh, do you understand why you're here?" I tried to answer, but I couldn't find the words. He didn't wait for an answer. He instead raised his hand, and all of a sudden I saw my life. Everything. All the time. Each choice. All the bad things I had done. It was like watching a movie, but I could feel everything. All the feelings. Everything that happens. I thought about the times I had hurt others or ignored people who needed help. Every lie. Every act of selfishness. I could feel how heavy it all was. Jesus wasn't making me suffer. I knew he was telling me the truth. Then the dreams changed. I saw something else. A world on fire. People are yelling. The earth is being hit by darkness like a plague. Even worse, people were walking toward it, choosing to. I tried not to look, but I couldn't. Jesus then said something I will never forget. This is going to happen. This is what happened as soon as Jesus said those words. The light around us went out and I was left in the dark. It wasn't just dark. The air was thick, choking, and alive. It wasn't cold like a winter night, but I felt cold. This was different. For some reason, the cold went deep into my bones, not just my body. Something cold that wrapped around my soul and wouldn't let go. I wasn't by myself. At first, I could only feel them. Shapes moving just out of my line of sight in the darkness. After that, I heard them. There were whispers in the air. I couldn't fully understand the words, but I knew they were bad. Laughter that is low, gruff, and rude. A voice, rough and deep, spoke to me directly. "You're not yet supposed to be here." I turned around to look for the source. But this place didn't have any signs. There is no up or down. I felt like I was floating in an endless pit. Then all of a sudden, I was falling. The pit took me in whole. There was more and more damage as I fell. The sounds turned into screams, painful and hopeless cries. Shadows turned into people. Shapes that are twisted and writhing are reaching out and grabbing at me, trying to pull me down even more. The smell, on fire, body parts, decompose. There was no sound when I tried to scream. I knew where I was. It was something I heard about at church, but I never thought it was real. But now there was no doubt about it. It was hell. The screams never stopped. Put on top of each other. Don't stop. In the fires, faces showed up. Some of them twisted in anger. Others were in pain. I knew some of the people I saw, some from school, some I had only met briefly. Their eyes were fixed on mine and begged. I tried to help them, but I couldn't. After that, I heard a voice I knew. "Josh, please help me." It was a friend, someone I had fun with, hung out with, played around with, someone who didn't believe in God, the same as me. I saw his face. I was seen. I will never forget what I saw in his eyes. Feel bad. A pain that was so strong and deep that it ate away at all other feelings. As soon as I reached out, something grabbed my wrist. "You can't help them right now." Christ. I was pulled out by him. All of a sudden, I wasn't in the dark anymore. I was in the light at the back. I wasn't happy, though. My whole body shook, and I gasped for air. Why? I choked. I saw Jesus look at me. His eyes were sad, because they picked this. I was going to fight. To say that no one would choose to go through that much pain. I knew what he meant, though. People don't want him. They live as if nothing is important. It's too late for them when the time comes. What I had just seen crushed me. Then Jesus said something even scarier. This is just the start. Christ had pulled me out of the pit, but I could still feel something in the dark. I wasn't safe. I knew people were looking at me, waiting. Not just one person was there. There were a lot, dozens, 100, lots of them. They hid in the dark, just past the light that Jesus had put around me. I slowly turned my head. That's when I saw them. That's it. Dark, turned, with eyes that were hollow and burned a sick red color. They were not people. They were not like us. Something very old, something bad. Evil spirits. Their bodies moved like smoke, changing shape and size. But they never took their eyes off of me. They stood in a big circle, putting the light around, not able to go inside. But I knew they were about to do something. They asked me to come back. I was able to hear them. Some people laughed, a few whispered, some made fun of them. Not yet, but soon. You believe he will always love you. Josh, you're ours. You were ours from the start. It made me want to cover my ears. However, the sounds were not coming from outside. I could see them, trying to get into my mind, adding doubt to it, fear, and a lack of hope. I looked to Christ, need answers badly, but I couldn't read his face. Do not pay attention to them. Talked. His voice was strong. Hold on. But why are they here? How did they get to know me? I asked. My voice was almost a whisper. His eyes were sad as he looked at me. Because you always picked sin. They were able to control you. You never paid attention to me. Their bond grew. I wanted to say no. I tried, but I failed. I had passed him by. I had lived like none of this was important. Finally, I saw the truth. The devils smiled. They knew I knew. Christ wasn't done yet, though. He put out his hand. The devils screamed, pulling back. Some went away into thin air. Some people stood their ground. I'm still watching, still not ready. You need to understand, Josh. It was Jesus. It's not just a fight for your body. It's good for your soul. After that, everything changed. The darkness went away. All of a sudden, I was in front of something very big. It went on and on in both ways. Big, excellent, giving off clear light, the doors to heaven. As soon as I saw them, I couldn't put into words how I felt. Weave. It felt like my whole being was drawn to them. It wasn't just a spot. It felt like home. I saw the other side, though. A shadow moved across the sky, across from the gates. It went further, then darkness, moving outward like a void. From inside it, too, I heard the cries of many souls. The difference was too much to bear. One side is light and warm. On the other, it was cold and painful. It made me turn back to Jesus. But he was moving forward already. I went after. Then I saw something very scary. Some were being taken away. An unseen force that can't be stopped pulled them back into the darkness. They screamed, asking for help, using words. The gates did not open, though. They scratched the ground, in the air, to hold on to anything. Backpedaled, shaking. Why? I saw Jesus look at me. His sad face lit up. They never really got to know me. What I saw shocked me. But they're calling your name. They have a prayer. Jesus gave a nod. A lot of people use my name, but not many people really follow me. Their hearts were not close to mine. The gates didn't move. It was peaceful for those who belonged to walk through. Those who didn't get it were taken. I had nothing to do but watch. Jesus shows up. The way he looked, he led me to him. My brain is running. I had always known about him, but I didn't really know him. Right now, he was in front of me. It felt more real than anything else I had ever felt. His eyes. I'll never forget the look in his eyes. They looked at more than just me. They looked right through me. After I said it, get over my reasons. It went right to the core of who I was, and I knew what it meant to be fully known for the first time. I couldn't hide every lie, all the sins. I had ignored him every time. He saw everything. However, his eyes were glowing with love, not anger, not being let down. Love. Way too much. No conditions. Love that overflows. It was too much for me. I got down on my knees, not able to talk. Jesus moved toward them. His voice was soft, but it was full of power. Josh, do you understand why I brought you here? I turned my head away. I'm not sure. He reached out. I saw flashes all of a sudden. Picture. Thoughts. There were times I didn't listen to his words. There were times when I picked my own path over his, when I hurt other people, when I turned away from him. I tried to turn my eyes away but couldn't. Christ told them, "Because I love you. I don't want you to get lost either." I had tears running down my face. I don't deserve this, though. I've failed a lot. Christ smiled. You were never supposed to be perfect. You were supposed to follow, and at that moment, I got it. It wasn't about getting ahead. He was the one who was picked. As soon as Jesus took a step back, the ground moved under us. The sky got darker, the air got thicker. Then I saw it. The long term. The ground broke apart. Fires were going strong. Cities were hit by storms. I heard screams and saw people running to get help. But no one paid attention. There was no one coming. The damage was like a wave, putting darkness over everything. People got down on their knees. Some were praying, some are hopeless. In the middle of it all, I saw people. Moving through the chaos are twisted, evil beings, lying in secret, taking more people down into the dark. My hands were shaking as I looked at Jesus. What? What is this? His voice was rough. What will happen if they don't turn around? Fear filled my heart, but not many people know. They don't get it. Jesus gave a nod. That's why I'm sending you back. I didn't want to go. Not after seeing what I did. Then Jesus said something that made my spine tingle. Tell them. Tell them. Because the door will close soon. The picture I saw changed as soon as Jesus spoke. No longer was I seeing fire and destruction. I looked at some people, everyday people, as if nothing were wrong with their lives. They were having fun, eating, in use. They were scrolling through their phones. Everything looked fine. Then I saw what Jesus saw. Sin wasn't just near them. They had it inside them. I saw people talk about other people. Dark smoke rose from their words and wrapped around the people they talked about, putting them to sleep. I saw greed. Men saving their money, putting aside. The poor's cries. They had something thick and black on their hands. I saw lust, making people chained up without them realizing it. I saw lies, coming out of people's mouths like snakes, wrapping around the people they lied to. Worst of all, it looked like no one cared. They laughed. They were alive. They didn't listen to the warnings. When Jesus raised his hand, I saw something that stopped my heart. People had marks on them. There was pure, strong light coming from some of them. Some, on the other hand, had dark spots on their foreheads. A seal that could not be seen that only I could see. I chose to warn them, to let them know what was going on. But it didn't matter how hard I tried, they wouldn't believe me. The worst part? Some of them went to church every Sunday. They sang, they said prayers, they paid attention to speeches, but they didn't really care about Jesus. They didn't think much about their faith. A to-do list. Not really, but they thought. they were saved. My eyes were filled with tears. "What's going on with them, Jesus?" His voice was strong. "They will not be able to enter my kingdom unless they turn to me with all their hearts." I broke down inside. I always thought it was enough to believe in God. I got it now, though. It's not enough to just know His name. It's about getting to know Him. The vision went away all of a sudden, and I saw something else. A huge book that looked like it was on fire floated in front of me. Before Jesus even spoke, I already knew what it was. The life book. The book that had the names of all the people who belonged to God in it, the people who were saved. He opened it, and I held my breath. The pages turned, after another, full of names that sound great. List of names of people who had given up their lives for Him. Some of them I knew, family and friends, people from my church. But then I saw the empty spots. Names should have been there, but there were empty spaces. People who believed they were saved. Good people who had been to church, who believed in Jesus but never really gave up their lives for Him. It made my hands shake. Jesus, why? His voice was rough. They didn't give me their hearts. They called my name, but they never came after me. Then I saw something that shook me. Names are becoming less clear. People who used to be loyal but now have turned away. People who knew the truth but decided to live in the world instead. Their names were hard to make out. Getting rid of everything. I was having trouble breathing. Could they be saved? I begged very hard. I saw Jesus look at me. His eyes were sad. They have a chance as long as they can breathe. But the time will soon be over. I was sick. How many people really aren't saved but think they are? How many people don't know they're about to lose their eternal life? God showed me something worse after that. When I turned around, we were no longer by ourselves. Someone stood in front of us and was as bright as the sun. His presence gave off an air of power, a guardian angel. His voice echoed and shook the ground. "It's almost time. The verdict is on the way. A lot of people will die." My heart beat fast. I wanted to fight and beg the world for more time. The angel kept going, though. They make fun of the warnings. The truth makes them laugh. They pick blackness over light. They will beg for forgiveness. When the door shuts, it's too late now. I got down on my knees. "What else can we do?" I spoke softly. Christ was looked at by the angel. Jesus gave a nod. The angel told them to tell them to go back before the door shuts for good. I felt very sad inside. I knew what was going to happen. I had heard the bad news. Still, I knew most people wouldn't pay attention. They'd laugh. They'd say, "We have time." They'd say, "God is love." No one would go to hell because of Him. They were going about their lives as if nothing was wrong, after it was too late. Jesus spoke once more. His voice was soft but strong. "Josh, tell them. Tell them what you saw." That's when I realized why I had been sent back. Things changed before I could ask another question. The light around me got dimmer. I was pushed back by an odd force. I yelled, "Wait! I don't want to go." It was too late, though. I could feel my body again. How heavy it is. The hurt, the pain in my chest. I gasped. I felt like I was drowning as air rushed into my lungs. There were screams all around me. "He's back. We're alive." I looked around. My tears make it hard for me to see. Lots of light, medical tools and gear. People are following me around. I had come back. I wasn't the same, though. The things I had seen were burned into my mind. The looks, the screams, the life book, the angel's message. I tried to get up, but a nurse gently pushed me down. "Josh, don't move. You weren't there for 3 minutes. For 3 minutes. That was all it took to see forever." I looked around because I had to tell them what had happened right away, but no one would get it. If they saw me, they would think I was crazy. But I knew what was true. I was given another chance. Not for me, for them. So that everyone could hear it before it was too late. So as soon as I could talk, I began to share my story, to show that Jesus is real, heaven is real, there is a hell, and there is not much time left. The worst days were right after I got back. I had trouble sleeping. I saw flashes of what I had seen every time I closed my eyes. The dead are screaming. The life book. His eyes were filled with sadness. It all crushed me. That's what I did when I was with my family. I wasn't the same person, though. How could I be? I used to care about things that didn't matter. Internet sites. What people believed about me. Fun and games. Now it didn't matter at all. Not after seeing what was going to happen. My parents thought the accident had made me very upset. My friends made fun of the fact that I might have been touched by heaven and laughed it off. Everyone didn't get it. I tried to explain, but their eyes got cloudy. They didn't seem ready to hear it. I knew then what the real battle was. It wasn't just what I saw for all time. It was what was going on in the world. People weren't ignoring God because they didn't like him. They didn't care. They had other things to do, being too busy with their own lives to notice that time was going by too quickly. That scared me more than anything else. Of course, that's how the people I saw in hell had lived, ignoring the hints. They thought they had time. I was given another chance. I knew what was true. I couldn't throw it away. He didn't bring me back to live I talked about it. I told people online, at school, and in church. It didn't matter to me if they laughed or thought I was crazy. It wasn't just a story. It was a message. Someone told me about someone who thought they were saved but wasn't. I told them that names were being erased from the book of life. I told them that demons were waiting for people who would pick sin over God. I told them about Jesus, how he looked at me, the way he loved me even though I wasn't good enough. He showed me that I could still turn around. But it will be soon. Some people heard, some didn't. That wasn't my job, though. It was only my job to tell them. Please pay attention if you're reading this. It's not just my story. This is your warning. I passed away. I saw what comes after this one. I was given another chance. Some people won't get one, though. Christ told me the truth. There is a hell. It's not just for bad people. It's for people who don't care about God. People who believe they can live without him. Anyone who turns away from his love and picks the world over it. A lot of people don't believe it. A lot of people say, I'll fix my life later. However, time is running out. I saw what was going to happen. Christ showed me. He said it was almost time. That people need to wake up quickly. It doesn't bother me if people think I'm crazy. They don't have to pay attention to me. I did what I had to do. I told you. You can now make your pick. Jesus is ready. He's been ready. The door will soon close, though. It's impossible to go back once it happens. Do not wait. Now, turn to him, since the time is almost up. When I got back, I saw that the fight I saw in the spiritual realm wasn't just going on there. That was going on all the time here near us. I didn't notice it at first. As I shared the lesson Jesus gave me, I thought I could just go back to my normal life. After that, the attack began. It all started with bad dreams. In my sleep, I heard dark shadows talking and saw the pit, the screaming souls, and the demons that had been watching me. When I woke up, I was gasping for air and thought someone or something was in the room with me. Then there were questions. It's possible that it was just a dream. Maybe you made it up. Listen, no one is there. Don't bring it up again. This wasn't my thought. I knew it. It was just a whisper. Hey,